welcome back to the Daily Draw. I'm very happy and very excited because today we are doing Moana. We are doing the Pua from Moana, the really cute little pig. It's going to be the best picture. You're all going to love it. If you want to do this with your grandparents, which we think is a really lovely thing to do, then give them a phone call and send them this video. But let's start painting. Alright, so we are going to start our Pua picture and we are going to break it down into really simple shapes. So this is going to be the first thing we're doing. I want you to notice this big kind of curve that comes all the way this way, and then this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with a square in the middle, so we want it to be in the center of the picture. So I'm just going to start about here with a line coming down, then on the other side, and join it at the bottom. Now this does not need to be straight. I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit. These lines are all going to be rubbed out, so what we want to do is just make the illusion of the shape. We don't want the shape, we don't need these lines to be perfect, so don't worry if you get them wrong. I'm just going to extend this line out a little bit and bring it like this to create a triangle, and then underneath we're going to have a very small triangle here too. On the other side, pretty much quite similar to where we started that one, but I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to bring a line coming down like that. I'm going to bring it a straight line coming all the way down. And we do want that to go further down than where that line here goes. I'm then going to add on the last bit here, which I'm going to do as a diagonal line here, and then a big curve joining up there. And that is the bottom half of this first step. We've still got this top half to do. So what I think it's quite good is to think about it being on a tilt. So I'm going to start here. That's going to be my line where I'm going to start, and I'm going to bring it up, and I think I want this side to come to about here. So I'm going to try and curve it like that. I'm quite happy with that, and then I'm going to bring it over here like this, and I'm going to bring this line, actually might make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to make this line come up here, and then a little bit further, I'm going to bring it down, kind of diagonally down here to this bit. So that shape there, I think of it just going like this, a straight line with two coming out at either end. I'm then going to draw the triangle on top. Again, if we can try to make this at an angle, that would be good. Don't worry if you can't. And I'm then going to draw a horizontal line coming this way for there. And then this tiny little bit at the top is kind of like a triangle, but the sides are a little bit more curved. So this last bit we're doing here is a curve on this side, followed by a straight line. And the straight line wants to go diagonally upwards a little bit. I got this wrong last time, so diagonally upwards. And then just join it here, and we're going to do the other side, a very pointy triangle. And those are our first shapes. Please don't worry if you think you've gotten them wrong. We have so many other bits to come after this. So let's go on to the second step. Alright, so we have done our first step, and we're going to move on to our second one, which when you pause it at the end should look like this. Now this looks quite complicated. We've got two different colours here. We are only using one, I promise. The red lines show you where the original marks are that we have already done here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in these black lines. Now you can do this in a couple ways, and I'll show you both of the ways in which you can do it. So I'm just going to start here again, which is kind of the same place that we started in step one, and I'm going to come in like this and just make it quite furry and bring a leg down to here. So I'm going to bring it down to here, and then I'm going to come in with a diagonal line and then lots of fluffy lines. The way that we're going to do this, I'm going to call them fluffy lines, but that basically means we're not joining them together. So we're not doing this, we are doing this. I'll just rub that out now. So we're going to do lots of lines like that across. So I'm going to come again, quite a strong line, and then just lots of little fluffy lines to bring the feet down. Maybe a bit too much there. I'm then going to come on this side, and we actually want to go outside of the line that we've made here and then bring it back in to do this, to do his little feet or paws, or what you call them. And then I'll just finish off doing this last bit by a few little lines there. And so as you can see, I can then rub this out, this line, and we have this shape of pua. And I'm going to show you a second way to do it, which what I'm going to do is actually rub this ear out. So hopefully you can still very faintly see the shape that we've drawn in and rubbed out, because the line was quite strong. So what I'm going to do is, just following from that line, I'm going to do the shape that is on our step. Now, sometimes I find that a lot easier to do because it means you're not having to worry about the line, or you're not having to rub it out afterwards. You're just doing it first, but I think Mum likes the other way, so please do it either way you like. We're going to rub this line out here because we actually don't need this one. That can just completely go. And then I'm going to rub these two out as well, and we're going to, with some very fluffy lines, just do some wee marks. Just like that. I'm then going to come in and do the bottom part of his head. And again, just lots of fluffy lines all joined together. But we still want a dip in his head there. We're actually, I don't think I've said this yet, but we're actually going to leave these shapes here and move on to them in the next stages. So you don't have to worry about these two. And then the very final one is just this ear. So I'm going to try and rub that out. And then using the shapes we've got, the first thing I'm going to do is actually put in that triangle that we had at the top. And then, just following the lines, I'm going to take it down with some fluffy lines, because he is a very fluffy pig after all. I think he's a pig. Okay, that is our second step. Okay, so if you've done that second step, you can move on to the third step, where we're going to put in all the details. This bit is quite fun, I won't lie. This is what we are going to have by the end of it. If we start working on it now, I think I should mention this whole bit here, all these shapes are going to be a leg, and the same on this side. All these shapes here are going to be a leg. So I'm going to start with the legs, and just in a similar way to before, I'm going to rub out the lines that I've already made, but I am still going to have a kind of diagonal line, and then it going down and then coming over here. But this down here, I want this to be quite a big curve, just like this. And then I'm going to come and do his hoof. I think it's a hoof, not a paw. So I'm just going to do that little shape there. And I do think I've actually brought that out a bit too far. So I'm going to bring it in and do his hoof here, just like that. And then I'm going to come over to this side, where I'm going to do something very similar. I'm going to do a big curve. I hope you can see that. I'm then going to come and do another big curve. This side of the leg, all we want to do is curves. And then I'm going to join these up and do his little hoof at the end. Don't worry too much about the shape of the hooves. We're going to do them black at the end, so it shouldn't be, it doesn't matter too much. I'm going to just do a little wavy line there so that it's not straight and then we can move on to the face. So I'm really happy with the whole bottom of my pua. So I'm just gonna move on to the face. But if you feel like you need to spend more time doing it, or if you'd rather change wee bits, then please go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with the nose. And I'm going to start with the nose, and I think I'd like the nose to be here. It does come quite far up, but I like to start it with that arrow. I'm then going to do the bit underneath where I want two kind of circle shapes to meet. I'm going to bring this round so we have really big curves, just like this. And this one over here, we want this to be even longer, so really lovely curves. Now I don't want that shape there, I actually want that to come in quite a diagonal line. So the nose is a mixture of straight lines and curves, and it's quite difficult to get right, and so take your time on it. I'm just going to come after I finish the nose and do his little smile. So we've got one bit here and one bit here. He is so cute. We just do this, and then the final bits that we have to do is his face. His eyes, sorry. So I'm just going to do a little bit of fur there, and then I'm going to come down and do one eye here. So I think the eyes might be one of the simplest parts of this because they are pretty much just circles. I hope what you can see here is I've just done a kind of elongated circle, and I'm going to come and do a little part, another circle inside it, and then another teeny tiny circle there, which it looks weird now, but I promise when we colour this bit in black with our black watercolour pencils, it's going to look fab. This eye is slightly more complicated because what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fur coming round it. So what I'm going to do, I think it looks like a leaf or like a lemon, so I'm drawing my leaf / lemon. Just like this. I kind of want it to go a bit more curved upwards on this side, so yeah, I'm happy with that. And then exactly the same as what we did on the other side, I'm going to do a circle shape here. I'm then going to do a smaller semicircle and a tiny wee circle in there. And that is our finished pua drawing. I'm just going to do a couple of bits in here for his nostrils. You don't need to worry too much about that. But I'm going to move on and colour this in with some watercolour pencils. You can stay with me and see what colours I use if you like, or you can go off and do your pua in whatever you fancy, your pens or your pencils. This is the painting stage of our pua picture. So we've finished the drawing, and now we're going to move on to paint it using watercolour pencils. All we need for this painting is a paintbrush, a very pinky red, or if you've got pink you can use that, and a black. And I've also got a jar of water over here, which I'm going to use too. So the first colour we are going to use is pink, and I want you to notice I'm holding this at the very, very end of the pencil, because if I press too hard, it's going to go red, and we do not want red, we want pink. So all I'm going to do is do a few little marks. So I hope you can see there is not a lot of pencil going on the page. There is just a little bit. I'm then going to take my pencil and I'm going to add some water. See, that even looks a bit strong for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. So the more water that you add to the paint mark, to the marks you've made with the pencil, the lighter the colour is going to go. And I want the nose to be, I don't mind if the nose is a little bit darker, but I just want the ears to be really light. It's a lovely pinky colour. And the final bit over here. Now I'm going to break the painting into two steps, the pink and the grey / black. I'm doing this because with this painting we really need to make sure that the pink is dry before we move on. So if you want to go and do your pink now, that would be fabulous. But remember, before you do the next stage, it needs to be completely dry. All right, my pink is completely dry, so I can move on and use the black. The first thing I'm going to do is do the eyes, because I feel like at the moment does not look right without the proper, lovely, beautiful eyes. So I'm just gonna come do a little bit more on this side and then do the semicircle. That looks better. I'm gonna go over this eye with the leaf shape or the lemon shape. Always looks weird until the eye is coloured in, and then it looks much better. I'm then going to do the smile. I'm gonna go under here and back. The nostrils, and then if you want you can do that little line. I'm not going to do much. The main thing I want to emphasize here is that we are not really going to colour him in at all. Hopefully you can see that the marks that I'm doing are very light, and if you look at where I'm holding the pencil, it's quite far up. So I'm just going to bring down to do his head. Little wee line there, and then I'm going to do very cute little legs, and his hooves at the bottom we are going to press quite hard and make them very black. So same on that side. And I hope you can see that all I'm doing here is outlining the drawing that we did earlier. So if you don't think it's right, you could maybe go back to the earlier drawing stages. But now I have fully outlined him. And all I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to put a little bit of colour here. But that is all the colour, all the colouring in of black that I am going to do. But I'm going to start by painting the leaf shape of the eye. And I'm gonna make sure that I've got quite a lot of black on my brush, and then I'm just going to place it down in certain bits, just like here. So I'm gonna put a bit on the ear, I'm gonna take some of the pigment here and put it on this side. And then I'm just gonna keep going with, I'm going to turn some of the bits to paint. So you can see I've turned a little bit there on his, would I even say forehead, on the top of his head maybe? I'm going to come and do a few bits here, and I actually want this bit down here on his tummy to be quite dark. So I am going to turn that bit a little bit more to paint. So hopefully you can see we're just going around turning a few little bits to paint. Now I'm going to make sure I paint this line so we've got a little bit of, I can't even say a little bit of colour on his leg because it's not colour, it's black. So you have a little bit of shading on his leg, we shall say. I'm then going to, with my brush, I'm going to dip it into one of the hooves and just bring a line there on the bottom of his face, kind of on his chin. And that is my finished Pua picture, and I'm so happy with him, and I think he looks so cute. I hope you really loved that picture as much as I did, and if you would like to make my day, then please go over to Facebook and comment and send me your Pua pictures, because I love this picture and I'd really love to see all of your pictures as well. I hope you really enjoyed that, and Mum will be back tomorrow for a Ratatouille picture.